Sorry to say, but conflict is not something you're great at dealing with.
Not at all.
Stacey kind of breaks out in a rash and would run. I'm not great in that I'm probably too abrupt. So the two of us together, we're not great with conflict.
Yeah.
Welcome to How to Build a Profitable Nutrition Business. If you love nutrition and you love helping people and you want to be in the game long enough to keep doing that, then this is the podcast for you. Let's get into it.
Okay, so welcome back to How to Build a Profitable Nutrition Business. I'm once again with my wife and business partner, Stacey Hughes. And today we're going to talk about our learnings. I'm not allowed to say our failures. So yeah, our learnings from our time with owning a nutrition business. Now, it was a business that we built up from, as I said in previous episodes, $0 or negative dollars up to 1.4 million, which sounds great, but there were plenty of mistakes that we made. And today we sort of touched on them in other episodes, but we're going to sort of dive a bit deeper into those today. So Stace, what's number one for you?
Well, number one for me is we didn't nurture our list. We didn't know or put value on building a list. So we had our database. So Chris had built a database for clients' information, and we also had a lead magnet on our website that was going to Mailchimp, I think it was. But we didn't put an importance on actually building that list and the next step from that, nurturing that list.
Yeah, we got better at it.
We got better at it as the time went on.
We had a list of like 26,000 people.
Yeah, which is insane.
That list in itself is valuable.
Yeah.
And it's a balance, isn't it? I mean, for me as a health professional, I was quite hesitant about sort of doing that email marketing because I'm a health professional. People come to see me because they want to, you sort of get out of that. You need to survive as a business and, you don't want to pester anyone. But ultimately, you got to remember, and you would nag me all the time, that you're helping people by getting them to come and see you.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be seen as someone who was
Constantly selling to them.
Spamming. Yeah.
And we could have done it a lot better by managing people's expectations of like what the appointment was going to be like. We could have done that with email, and then we could have had a post-appointment nurture sequence, like what happens after your appointment or in between appointment, and that may have helped retention as well.
We got there as well, but just in dribs and drabs. We weren't consistent.
We weren't consistent. We should have had it more automated.
Yes, yeah. So that was a big learning. I don't know how many dollars we've left on the table there, but quite significant. And given that we're not really that great an area population-wise where we were servicing, we had 5 offices, but that's a big market to just leave behind. But anyway, that's something that we've sort of learnt in our new businesses, and we sort of grow our list.
And nurture the email list.
And there was a conference that we went to a little while back, and it was talking about owning your list. And so the thing is now if you've read, I think it might be Russell Brunson's books, like social media can shut you off overnight. They can change the algorithm, they can do whatever. So you don't own that list. It doesn't matter how many followers. Who's
Denise Duffel 9,000 people in a Facebook group, and it got shut down overnight.
Yeah, she's lost. So that you can't do anything about that. Facebook don't even have to reply. Whereas if you own the email list, you own that.
Get them out of social media and onto your email list.
Okay, so that's number one. Number two
would be culture. When we were a smaller team, we really put a lot of emphasis on culture, and this is kind of a lot of the stuff that we learned through Business Blueprint. Things like having daily huddles. So we have 2 people in the Philippines, 2 virtual assistants. Or we actually may even have had 3 at some point. And plus all of our staff in all of the locations, we found it really beneficial to have those morning meetings, even if it was just 15 minutes, just those regular contacts. And we always started off the meeting with wins. You had to say something that you were grateful for or something good that had happened to you. And then we went into the bulk of the meeting, which was, what we were working on, things like that. So that was really good for culture.
Because we had those people in remote locations or a dietitian in an office by themselves, that little connection every day was quite important. And it's interesting that we had certain staff that didn't like the daily wins. They didn't like that they had to be positive, and they weren't great for our culture. It would be fair to say those staff. How we handled that was our fault. We probably didn't handle that effectively, but either way, it was interesting, like those daily meetings are the interactions that you're having with your staff that working remotely you may not have had. And so you really then start to sort of work out who you want in your business and who you don't.
Yeah.
So we had a great culture early on.
Yeah.
You were really good at like their birthdays and getting them presents, and
every quarter we do some sort of training, some sort of team training or team lunch or...
COVID threw us there, didn't it? Like we were good. COVID sort of impacted on us, and then we sort of spaced them out, which we thought would be good, but that was detrimental because the girls did like getting together.
Yeah, and then our team grew to quite a size by then. It was sort of 18 people.
Yeah, we mentioned that on the other podcast. We were at a conference, weren't we? And they say 0 to 12 was great. 12 to 50 is a nightmare, and we were at 12 and had a job ad out, and it was so true. I don't know, that was quite weird how exact that was. It was become quite difficult to manage the staff after that. But anyway, like I think we still could have done a lot better. Our culture, we were good with our employee retention. Like we would send our dietitians over to the US if they stayed with us for 2 years. 2 were due to go during COVID. I don't think that helped our culture either. I think they were quite frustrated by that. Understandably, they were due to get a trip over to the States, and they couldn't leave Queensland, let alone Australia. So anyway, that didn't hurt. And then our culture really started to slip, and this is like an area that we just weren't skilled in. But like when you get someone who's cancerous in the business. How do you handle that? Like conflict, sorry to say, but conflict is not something you're great at dealing with.
Not at all.
Stacey kind of breaks out in a rash and would run. I'm not great in that I'm probably too abrupt. So the two of us together, we're not great with conflict.
Yeah.
And then it started to slip. So we ended up letting an employee go quite abruptly because she was quite detrimental to the culture. And then our culture, we didn't handle that well. Like we just didn't recover. She was quite popular with workmates, but then from there it went downhill, and I think 100%, 99% of that is our fault. We could have done that a lot better. Our communication was probably lacking significantly, but we were probably on the way out too then, weren't we? We wanted to sell the business and travel Australia, and we kind of checked out early, and that was obvious, and our culture slipped as a result. So yes, letting our culture slip. If you want to stay in the business, or even if you don't want to stay in the business, I think keeping culture vibrant is important, because when you sell the business, you want those people to still stay in the business. Our numbers was probably number 3. So we were financially illiterate early on, which I've joked about that was probably a saving grace early. But going back, and all these conferences I go to successful business owners, they know every cent where it goes. Yeah. We were living on the business, like it was funding our lifestyle, whereas we should have been managing our money a lot better.
Yeah. And we weren't making decisions based around money. We were just making decisions on, whether we needed something or wanted to do something.
Yeah.
But not based on the numbers. Based on the income numbers, but not on the expenses or the profit that was available. So
yeah, and we always got by and sort of kept our heads above water. But I think with good money management, what would you suggest? Okay, so like we start the business again, right? Let's say we're going into it tomorrow. What would you do to improve your financial literacy?
Get a bookkeeper and an accountant where you're paying a monthly fee, and the bookkeeper does all of your books up to date in live time and gives you a monthly report at the end of your expenses and income.
Which is what our
so we've just signed up with a new accounting firm, and that's what we've signed up to. So they so it's all built into the one monthly cost, which I also like. You're not getting that big bill at the end of the year once you do your tax return. So this is a monthly fee. They do all our BAS returns, all our bookkeeping, our tax returns for the company and ourselves, and we get a report. We've got things to work on, like green light, orange light, red light things as well. So I think, going forward now, that would have been really good to have when we were seeking nutrition as well, because we were very reactive with our keeping up to date with our bookkeeping and stuff like that.
Yeah. Would you do a course to increase your own skill in the area?
Maybe,
Yeah. I would like to, when time permits, it's something that I think I'd like. I mean, I know roughly what I'm looking at, but it'd be great to just have that sort of higher level knowledge. Okay, so number 4, what would you say number 4 is?
The price increasing. We probably didn't do that often enough. We probably should have done it every quarter, increased by 1%.
Guilty.
Yeah, and Chris was really hard to get to increase pricing. Or we should have done more packaging, bundles, things like that, I think.
Add value and increase price.
Which we did do that a bit, and that saved us a lot of the time, oftentimes, but we could have done it better.
Yeah, I mean, we were bulk billing initially. So I guess the evolution of our business was that I would charge a gap. So for those that don't know what bulk billing is, just a recap is that basically we get a referral from a doctor, the client doesn't pay, the government picks up the bill. So we initially would charge a gap for private paying clients, but then I would bulk bill all the pensioners and kids, and then I just went 100% bulk billing because it was just so much easier. And our referrals exploded, didn't it? Like it really did help our business because the doctors thought, great, I can send someone there for free, which kind of told me that they didn't really value dietitians for a start. But that it was a platform where we grew our business, and then what we did, and this was done on the reflection of our numbers, was that our private numbers grew over time, and that's when we become profitable.
Yeah.
But with our privates, I still didn't want to increase the price. Like I was so nervous because people are coming to see me for free. Why would I want to charge more to the people that are coming to see me privately? And every single time we did it, no one bulked. No one said a word. No one even noticed.
No.
I was the only person. So I've lost a night's sleep nervous about the price increase. No one cared. So yeah, so we definitely, and the thing is, like if we were seeing 300 people a week, I don't know, I think our numbers may have been something to that effect. $5 per person per week, there's adding $1,500 to your bottom line, which it was huge. Anyway, another lesson learned. Yeah, learning, not failure.
I went to a seminar recently at Business Blueprint, and the speaker said you should increase your prices every quarter by 1%, at least minimum.
Yeah, right. Every quarter.
Every quarter. We should do that.
Yeah, okay. That would be hard in terms of decimals.
Oh, well, obviously round up, whatever.
Yeah.
I've been doing it since I heard her speak. Every quarter, in 90 days, I increase my prices.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, yeah, so it should have increased prices more, but with that, you've really got to make sure there's value. And we did come to that. We really packaged things up in the end.
Yeah.
And,
People want community and accountability, and we were able to provide that.
Yes, yeah, we offered more than just information, which was great. Okay, so number 5 would be corporate partnerships.
So we did explore this a little bit, and that is when other businesses came to us asking, could we run programs for their employees?
Yeah, we didn't even chase them.
But we did My Health for Life and things like that. So that sort of gave us the groundwork or a base.
Pull me up if I'm wrong. I think it was on the back of our challenges. We used to run those challenges, and that just got us so much publicity. Our private numbers exploded.
It was a marketing exercise.
Yeah, and
really good marketing exercise.
And then we had those big corporations that were, wanting us to do employee wellness stuff, which was quite lucrative, easy.
We should have done a landing page and really explored that a bit.
Well, LinkedIn. I should have been on LinkedIn actively then.
Ads.
Yeah, whereas we weren't. So we were bogged down at the bulk billing, low profitability end of our business. Yeah. But again, we sort of moved in the right direction, and we learnt. And had we have not been burnt out by the early years of our business, I mean, that's possibly the space we'd be focusing on right now.
And that's one thing that you do have to look at is what is the most profitable things in your business, and then I think we did learn this early on. Where when we looked at, we remember every team training or whatever, we would have a pie chart with how many was bulk billed and how many were private, and we gradually moved that pie chart to be a bigger amount of privates. Yeah. And you could also do that for your profitable arms as well. And we kind of did that as well. But really focus on those ones that are profitable and spend more attention on those.
And it's not just, it's the profit, but making sure that you're factoring in the hourly rate. So it's about how easy it is to make that money and provide a good service and be effective, because you might have something that's bringing in a lot of revenue, but requires quite a lot of effort. The corporate space was quite good. Okay, any other learnings, Stace?
Yes, when it came to selling our business, we realised we didn't have watertight employee contracts, especially for those employees that we had employed years ago. So we didn't worry too much about restraint of trade.
Yeah.
And because we always thought, we knew how hard it was to operate a business, and we always thought that if somebody wanted to leave and start up their own practice, then go for it, because we know how difficult it was. So we didn't really put in any restraints around deed of restraint. Yeah,
I guess my learning from that is run your business like you're going to sell it.
Yeah.
The employee contract stuff, we did not give a shit, because if our employees want to set up and run against us, go for it. Fill your boots.
Yeah.
We knew how hard it was and how hard. I only survived because I had you. And so trying to do that by yourself would have been really hard. But that sort of hurt us when we were selling the business.
Yeah, the buyer wants watertight contracts.
And that could come back to our financials. And because the other thing to that as well is that our accountant advised us not to tell our staff when we were selling. And we went against that advice stupidly because we wanted to be honest with our staff. We didn't want them to find out secondhand. But what happened is when they found out, we had quite a few staff leave, particularly when they found out who was a potential buyer. They didn't want to work for this person and they resigned. So the value of our business deteriorated overnight because we were honest and told our staff that we were selling. So that was a massive learning for us. But it's hard. Like you work with these people for so long, you want to sort of keep an open relationship with them. And anyway, so in the end they left and they could set up against the person that was a potential buyer for us, which meant they didn't want to pay much for our business, which is understandable. But again, we just wanted out. I mean, we would have shut the doors and given it away. We were checked out. Yeah, we had the caravan in the car. We were off. We were on holiday.
So probably is advice there is to always operate like you are going to sell.
Yes.
And just listen to your accountant's advice.
Listen to the professionals.
Listen to the professionals.
Look, we've probably got many more learnings, but I think that's probably the core ones, would you say?
Yes.
Yeah, so just to recap then, so it was about knowing your numbers, becoming financially literate and educated, knowing what you're doing, nurturing your list, making sure that you're constantly communicating and talking to those potential customers, maintain a really good employee culture, run your business like you're going to sell your business, even if you have no intention to. Corporate partnerships, look at the avenues in your business that are potentially profitable for the least amount of work. Try not to get busy. It's that 80-20 rule, isn't it? Like, what are the things that are the most profitable that you're spending the least amount of time on? And the last one is listen to the experts. Take advice on board. Yeah, don't go with your gut instinct a lot of times. All right, that's a wrap. Thanks for listening, and join us next week for the next podcast. Thanks.
Thank you.
Do you find this podcast valuable? There may be other nutrition professionals out there will also. If you like, share and subscribe, it's going to help other nutrition professionals make an impact on the world just like you. Thanks.